Okay, hello, greetings and welcome. Now let's have a look at the fundamentals of evocation. What is evocation for? Why practice it? What are these planetary spheres? What are the beings there? And what value is there for the Hermeticist, or the Buddhist for that matter, to work with these energies and develop oneself through them? All right, so the process of evocation is based on old ritual magic. Now, as we're not going to get into that too much because that's it's got quite a deep theory in how to open a magic circle, how your relationship to Akasha, where Akasha awakens the light of the mind and develops awareness of non-dual light bodies. That's your fundamentals, and that is for the most part covered in the initiation process and then the introduction into the evocation process. What we're really looking for here is to look at why do all that, and this process of why. When you invoke, let's say, the light of the moon through Akasha and non-dual light, and you get this brotherhood of light connection coming through, there's a certain part of your spirit which gets immune to the effects of the moon. So the moon has a lot of power on our emotions, on our astral body, and the oceans are literally, tides are literally regulated by the moon, and it affects every part of our life. Physically, emotionally, psychologically, mentally, all these levels of influence are there. As soon as you start streaming the light of the moon through the bodies, through the Akasha, there's a type of immunity or a balance that starts to take place in the unconscious mind. So the moon gives you equanimity, not extreme rhythms. So with normal people, the moon creates this rhythmic up and down quality, but with practices, the moon gives you balance, harmony, and quietude. So the influence of the moon becomes a driver for equanimity within your spiritual work. It aids in your concentration. The power of the moon becomes a part of your power, and that has a huge value. The next aspect of working through, let's say we go to Mercury. Now, Mercury has a strong effect on the mental body, on the spirit, and it has a strong influence on intellect. If a person has a very strong resonance with Mercury, their insight mind activates and they understand the Dharma much more clearly. And general sciences, your IQ literally gets higher when you have more balance and resonance with Mercury. But that IQ, that intelligence will raise in accordance with your life's purpose and you. So let's say you're a bricklayer and you love building houses and putting love into the bricks, and you're doing the evocation process and connecting to Mercury. Now, your feeling of mental transference into the qualities of those bricks, how you put them together, how they energetically relate to sacred geometry, what their construction materials are, which are the best, which have the nicest feeling of energy for people's homes, which contain love and which contain aversion responses to energetic environments. Some bricks have a repelling force inside them. Some bricks have a loving force inside them. Natural clay bricks are much better for a house than a concrete block. So when you tune into these things, you naturally get a sense of them. By tuning into Mercury, those things become much clearer. You get a sense of course, that is obvious. The mind makes things much more obvious to you through your spiritual senses. So Mercury has a broad spectrum of uses in relation to developing the insight mind. If you're a Buddhist and you work with Mercury, you read the Dharma and it makes sense. Because of course that the process of liberation, the process of release has an intuitive common sense to it, which just naturally arises through working with Mercury. Now, some of us will want to evoke the individual beings of Mercury and work with these intelligences and learn knowledge directly through the evocational process. Some of us just go through the planetary spheres, invoke the light of each planet, generate immunity through the three bodies, and then generate an activation or an enlivening of the different aspects of light through the three bodies for different qualities to arise. And as you go through each planetary sphere, you're not only generating immunities, but you're generating shifts in consciousness. Once you've worked through all the planetary spheres, there's an unconscious resonance with the solar system, that the spirit expands to occupy the solar system. It thereby contracts into the center of gravity of the sun and connects to the resonance of the master of the sun sphere, which generates a resonant tuning fork with all the other suns in the universe, which is a framework for universal consciousness expansion through that network of resonance. So you're ultimately working with it to get an expanded state of consciousness. All the invoking of these individual deities and spiritual beings is a bonus. It's, oh, you can learn information from them, but it's not essential. So people who do the planetary sphere meditations through Akasha and invoking different energies through the crown, through the three bodies, and work with this type of light, automatically get a spiritual knowing about a broad range of metaphysical processes of release. You just simply get woken up to these things within the unconscious, within the spirit, and your ability to release and move beyond the solar system happens by itself. So that's a really nice way of training. So for the person who is focused primarily on ascension, it is like a cheat code. It gets your mind into a place where you can expand out much more easily and have universal mind experiences and connect to divinity in a different way. Remember, there's thousands of gods. There's the gods of nature, there's different deities, there's the gods that people fear, there's the gods that people love, there's the gods that are universal consciousnesses of creation. There's all these layers of perceived deity, perceived godheads to the essence of the universe, which is just pure creation at the base and pure mind at the top. So in order to get closer and closer to understanding what that is and how that functions, the evocation process gives you a huge head start in that process. Okay, we'll leave that there. If you have any questions about the evocational process or you are practicing, let me know and I'll post more videos to answer those questions on the Vimeo channel. And if you're subscribing to that Vimeo channel, ensure that you have a really solid foundation initiation process beforehand. Okay, thank you for your time and see you on the next video.